Let's get started. So welcome everybody. We have a lot of people today as well, about 40, 35. So great, thank you. Great to see you. I hope you're all doing well and the families too. Today what I thought, and please, this is just, I'm experimenting as you are. So this is well kind of an agile way of working. I thought we could use the time today to do this kind of workshop breakout rooms to allow us to, I know all the teams that we set up, the working groups have been already launched their activities. Some might have gone further than others, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to join one of the groups and have a more discussion, really, where you can ask questions, you can participate, you can give your point of view. Ideally, you should not be in the same group as you already are, but I just don't know how the system will work. I don't know if the allocation is done randomly or I will need to choose you. I've done a similar system for teaching and there it was randomly. I just need to appoint the leaders of the group as leader of the break room. So I'm going to experiment. The other just kind of admin notes. I was thinking of doing a session on Sunday. By Sunday is an Easter Sunday. So I thought maybe leave that session off and let you work in your groups. And we started very hard. So maybe it's good to spend time in your groups and reflect better. Where are you going to focus and the one thing that you want to accomplish? Rita McGrath has confirmed for Wednesday in a week. It will be in the evening. She only can at 4 p.m. her time, which is 10 p.m. Europe. It will be recorded. I told Deepa Prahala, she's the daughter of one of the most amazing thinkers in management ever. She has done a lot of social entrepreneur. She will talk to us most likely the Sunday after. I'm talking to Raj Granhuntan. He's an expert in happiness. I don't know how many million views he has in his TED talk, but he is part of this network I am. So I'm asking Raj if he can come to talk to us about happiness and positiveness. So hopefully Raj will accept that. So I'm working on that so that we get inspired and we learn from others while we try to contribute. That's kind of the planning for the next 2 weeks. I think that's the far we can get. The second point, there has been discussions around which tools do we use. It seems that the majority prefers to use Teams from Microsoft. It was my initial thought, so we can move to Teams as a central group where we'll put the information beyond the linking group. If you decide to use Slack for your group, that's fine. So this is not, yeah, everybody does whatever prefers, but we'll start using Teams and set it up as the place where we exchange and put most of the information. I know Emma has volunteered to help and Johan as well. So we should be able to get that done in the next days. So that's a bit about the planning and the admin. So if that's okay with you, I'm going to try to break out the team in breakout rooms of 6, 7 people. How many are we? We're 40. So that makes what? How many teams do we create?
25. There are 40 people?
Yeah, 40. Yeah, we'll do 5 groups. And Fernando, I just don't know how, let me check how it works. Breakout rooms, assign participants into 5 rooms, automatically or manually. If I do it manually, it's going to take us forever. If I do it automatically, I don't know where the coordinators will go. So it's a bit of a lottery here. Huh? What do we do?
By groups, but by areas that we devised in the previous meeting, right?
Yeah,
Right.
by areas, but then I need to do it manually.
Mm.
How about we do this? So, and if there's not the presenter in the group, is there any way to join a group you have not been assigned to? So say I am Marcello, I'm not in my group that I lead, so I joined it despite I was not automatically selected for it. Is there any way to do it?
Or maybe you can create manually the group with the coordinator and then paste the link in the chat. So everyone joining that group just leave the global group and join that.
I'm just
Great
checking
idea.
here. So
I think you can add one coordinator to each group,
yes.
even if they are scrambled. Like you
Yeah.
can select, yes.
And I'm seeing here, I get a drop-down list of everybody in the call, so I just need to tick. So it's easier than I thought, manually. I just wanted, while I do these breakouts, I wanted to ask, I know Juanma has been working already on your group. Can you briefly share what you've been doing, Juanma and Terry, briefly while I assign people to the groups?
Yeah, we can. In fact, we have a short presentation. If you want me to share it, it's 2 minutes.
Okay, great.
Just start to share it, please. Let me see, Oleg, I see Oleg, so we'll put you in one of the groups.
So meanwhile, let's go to this and first, Terry is there, but he doesn't feel so well, so he asked Marcello and myself to do this. So I will present this, which was mainly done by Marcello, and then myself and Terry has given some books. So we sent a survey that 14 people respond. We saw a high geographical diversity and also backgrounds. Based on that, our first question was, well, what to do with that? So we rated everything. We faced a global landscape that is affecting almost every sector in every single economy. So that's the global landscape as for now. And well, there are no clear expectations about the future, but since that is more dark than bright. So first we tried to define what the problem was trying to solve. And here we define the problem based on the answers as the high negative impact of the situation on businesses, especially on small ones, due to their readiness to adjust to the new normal, to their survival mechanisms, and to their lack of preparedness. This is the main takeaways from the responses. Okay. Second question was about who should be first addressed, and in this case was quite aligned. And also we found something from the International Labor Organization that are saying that 7 out of 10 workers are employed in small businesses or self-employed, not even medium businesses, but the small ones, which are below 50 people. So following this and most of the responses, we define the small and medium businesses that are our main target. And we also saw local businesses, the most affected sectors as travel, as tourism, and some strategic sectors. Okay. Finally, we define priorities based on the responses, and following that, our group is mainly focused on crafting a post-COVID vision. So we try to avoid the old paradigm and trying to look forward and create a new vision that is understood by everyone and agreed by most of them. Also support small and medium companies with the reformulation of their businesses, explore new business model, how to offer their practical advice, and more specifically, force the digital reinforcement of SMEs. Okay. And finally, we gather objectives, specific actions from the members, and we divided them into external actions, those that generate an impact on the small businesses, and internal actions that are having an impact on the group and how we perform. And we, for this session, we have created a survey, a small survey, to get a vote on the 8 initiatives that we have extracted from the responses. So our idea was to let the members vote on them in terms of importance and in terms of priority. Okay, and that's more or less what we have. And then if you want me to share the link, we can everyone vote. It's not needed to have it just for the members of the group. It's okay if the whole group can vote. If you prefer to switch already to the small rooms, it's fine for me. It's up to
Okay.
you.
Thank you. It's already setting a bit the scene. So I've allocated 4 groups because I see the leaders. So let's try this out and see. There's one on project management. Fernando is there. Coaching, Oleg is there. Creative Coalition, Diana is on the call. Marcello, I put you in the coalition for the time being as you propose that idea. So maybe you can help on that. If needed, we can change. And then there's the new business model that Juanma has proposed. Okay, so I'm going to open the rooms, and you should be going now into a smaller group, and I'll let the coordinators to facilitate that. Basically, I asked them to explain in 3-5 minutes what the group has been doing so far, and then do a bit of brainstorming with your input. If you have been in that group already, well, just share what you've seen, but hopefully you are new to the project and you can add new views. Okay, so let's go, let's see how this works. So you should have been invited to join a room. Okay, who's here? Can you hear me?
Antonio, I'm a colleague of Thibaut, in fact. So just following Thibaut there.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I didn't
Antonio
introduce myself
Brian.
before, but yeah.
Is it possible that you need to, did you receive an invitation to join something?
I was supposed to join the same group as Thibaut, who's in the topic recover as fast as possible for I don't remember which group it was, but I was supposed to go in the same group as Thibaut.
Oh, it's okay.
That's what he told me.
Just join the one you got the invitation and we'll discuss afterwards. Don't worry, Brian.
Okay.
Yolanda,
Perfect,
you didn't
thanks.
have an invitation?
No.
What is that? You should have, somehow you receive an invitation to join a room. And Laurie, you too. Strange. Let me
I
see.
did. I joined my main group, and when I got there, realised your instruction to join a new one.
Yeah. Laurie, not join. Move to. Okay.
Just bounced back. Is it possible to join another other than Creative Collision, which is
Yeah.
my
Which
home
one?
group?
Which one?
Maybe networks like that.
The business model.
Network of networks. Yeah,
That
because
one is not
Creative
there. We have
Collision is my home
coaching.
group.
Coaching, project management, and business model.
I'll go coaching.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, just got it.
Thank you.
Fleming, I don't see you. And I need to assign me, I guess. Laurie, you should have received the invitation now. Hopefully.
Okay. It hasn't popped up yet, but hopefully it'll come soon.
Why not? I'm just experimenting with this. Move to coaching. Why is not getting you? Let's see, now you get something.
No, not yet.
How is that possible? Let me see if I can unassign you. Can I unassign you? Can you log out and log in just, Laurie, maybe that's the issue.
Sure. Okay.
Now I see you, I will assign you to coaching. Let's see.
Okay. So, sorry, I missed that just as I joined.
I saw you on a sign and I just put you in coaching. So hopefully you
Okay.
get the invitation.
Okay. Yeah, it's just pop.
The main target was SMEs. So at the end of the day, we try to find any kind of support, and we found this a recent report. You have there the link, and we will share the presentation that says that 7 out of 10 workers are linked to small businesses. It will increase if we include also medium companies. So from our perspective in the group as a part of
fit, and then the next point, for whom or to whom we about to contribute.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about just a general public, which wouldn't be appreciated because no one asked for it.
Yeah.
Whether we're helping small enterprises, medium enterprise, or small and medium enterprises, or large corporation, or non-profits, whatever. When it would help us to align what we could bring with their exact needs. Because otherwise, I will give you a simple definition Marshall Goldsmith taught me, because as Antonio, we're in the same group, we just like the same. It's a chance for me to tell my wife that I'm clever, don't get me wrong. You know, but what's important, he said, do you know how to be a successful coach? I said, no, tell us. Choose a good client. You know, so if we want to make a difference, we need to choose a right population of those people who are really craving for that help. Does it make a sense to anyone?
Yeah.
Describing each action and the importance of the action, from 1 less important to 5 most important. And in the end, you have a priority value. And as we have 8 groups.
Sorry, are we supposed to see something? Because I don't see it. Are you just reading it? Or?
You see the, well, I can share my screen, no problem. Sorry. Sorry. Here it is. Sorry for that. So we have the different actions described. Action 1, context and new vision, and a small description of what the action is about. And we want you to say how much important it is, from 1 less important to 5, to fulfill the purpose of this group. Action 2, action 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there is the last one, which is about priority. What should be done first? So we would like you to define from the highest priority to the lowest priority. So you can only set one response per file, per line, and we hope you can do it from 1 to 8. So please begin, and it's a comparative comparative evaluation of the alternatives. So if you can please fulfill the survey, I can show you on the live.
That the doctors who are working at the hospital who may be infected are utilizing that building. I'm not saying it's ethical or unethical, you know, that's a separate issue. But unless the whole building is given away, I think there may be other issues that may arise there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sanitary, this is an additional, but I found people that they offer the apartments. Even as I told of you, after that, I need to make one phone call that one manager that they offer 60 rooms in one building that they are now empty. I need to speak with him to clarify some things, blah, 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 but he's in the way to offer. Even many private companies offer many things. For example, rental cars. Majority of the rental cars that they are operated now in the Madrid airport, the flew of the cars as free for these proposals. So there are even there are a lot of afraid, and also a lot of concerns from the people, but also there is people that they say, okay, go ahead, make the solution. I give you the rooms, or in this case the apartment. Who will clean the apartment? This is another step. But this is I give you the apartments. Try to get the solution from another way. Blah blah blah. But it's advanced and disadvanced, of course.
Fernando, I might have missed this point. Maybe you said it in the beginning. But what is the purpose, or what will be our contribution in this scenario? I'm having this.
Now the people that I tell you, there are not 100, thousands of sanitary persons that they have not a house in the big city because the government contract them by 3, 4, 6 months, even by weeks. Nobody can help.
What will be our personal contribution right now? You know, what is the purpose of the discussion? What can we get to? You know, how can I contribute to the discussion? How can I, what is the expected outcome?
Oh, just in this case, that is one of the examples that I put. All of you can be free, of course, to make one idea, just to prepare to survive in this crisis. These people is going to the hospital, is working 2 shifts in consecutive, 3 shifts in a row, 36 hours, and later is a lot of them in Spain. Almost the last number is. Jose Antonio, maybe you remember, more than almost 20,000 people that is working in hospital is contaminated. So these people need to be insulated from another rooms or from another part. Even they need to also to be in quarantine for 2 weeks in addition, blah blah blah. So even they don't have apartments. Even in addition, there are some people that has apartment and say, okay, you are working in a hospital, out. I don't want to rent my apartment to you. Even the people that was inside, this happened. So people have some reactions, some positive reaction, another put a wall. No, I don't want that you will my waste in my apartment. Okay, out. No, I have one contract. Forget about the contract. Get out. I will close the contract with you immediately. As soon as they know that they work in a hospital, or even they are contaminated, they try to send out from the house. And these people is giving their life for us. Eh?
I think maybe just to answer your question from my perspective, I think this is one idea, and this might be very, very specific to Madrid at the moment. I think if there are other ideas that we might have from all of us, depending on where we are in the world, I think this is just like an open forum for discussion. So Fernando has got this idea, and that's something already that he's working on. But I think if there are other ideas in terms of project management, I think this is just an open forum sort of to brainstorm a little bit. And I see that Jonathan has actually posted something to say, are we not as project managers, sort of jumping to find a solution? And yes, that might, maybe that is so just because of the practical nature from all of us, but it might be that we need to come up with a couple of more sort of possible
projects,
ideas or projects, and then narrow that down. So I hope that sort of answered your question, maybe.
Thank you, Jovita.
That's exactly what I thought about the breakout. It's more a brainstorming session that everybody talks for a few minutes and share what this group could do, than rather deep diving in one topic. So yeah, it would be good to hear everybody to say what they're thinking.
Jennifer, please, it's your golden time.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to get my head around, Antonio, how each of the subgroups tie into our main objective. Are we trying to support the project economy? Are we trying to solve macro problems, micro problems? I guess I'm trying to get my head around our charge.
Yeah, I would say it's more micro. We cannot influence macro, so it would be more micro.
Macro or micro? Macro or micro?
Micro. But Jonathan wants to speak. Maybe he has a view.
Yeah, you started with this, Fernando, which I thought was really interesting, and kind of where I was. You got me thinking early on, was this sense that there are a lot of micro projects, and there's a considerable need for, if not project management, project organization in many of these countries. So one possible role for the project management group would be to say, how can you enable people who aren't familiar in working with projects, aren't familiar to the kind of organization and processes and procedures associated with organizing for projects. How can we provide those kind of skills and understanding? We're not trying to turn everybody into project managers, God forbid. But there's a need, exactly in the kind of example you gave of providing accommodation for key workers. There's almost certainly a need for the kind of organization that is generally associated with projects and with management in general. And how do we develop simple structures and simple tools and techniques that people who are not experienced project managers and probably don't need sophisticated project management could actually easily adopt, and that would help them plan, design, organize, and kind of manage and control those activities. So that I'm part of another group, so I hesitate to sort of I'll throw it in as a suggestion for the project management group to consider, that might be a useful reflection of what, as a project management group, what might you do.
Antonio?
I love it. I like it very much what you're saying, like PMOs for the countries, for coordinating all these initiatives. And I think that can be replicated regardless of the country.
Yes.
And these are skills that we all bring, and we can bring some technology too. I love it. I think it's,
yeah.
But what other people want to say, I really liked what you said, Jonathan. Yeah.
I think
I like that too.
That's a really neat idea, Antonio, to translate it into PMOs and the kind of PMOs that might organize resourcing and provide a lot of the kind of fundamental structure, that kind of PMO rather than a more strategic PMO. I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
So we have more people at for example, Luan Picard. Luan, can you, hi.
Hi, how are you this morning? Or it's morning for me. I guess it's afternoon for you guys. So I'm kind of in listening mode just to hear
Where
what
are you,
the difference
Luan?
is.
Where are you located?
I'm in Anchorage, Alaska.
Alaska. Oh, so far.
Yeah. So, but the question that I had about the PMO idea that was just discussed, maybe it was more a question rather than a comment, because I have an idea, but it may be a little bit different than the PMO idea. So when you think of the PMOs, how do you think we could actually structure something like that? It seems like it would require a lot of people to be engaged in that process, kind of at a high level. So how would you envision, I think, Jonathan, how would you envision that in place?
Well, that's the role of the group to work.
No, I mean, I'm just curious. I'm not. It's just like, how would it look, or what would it look like and feel like, and who would be involved?
I mean, I can imagine that initially it would be virtual, not least because we can't kind of move around physically, and it might be able to draw on organizations who have skills. And they have people available. At the moment in the UK, there's a sharing network that's been set up for people who are on furlough. So these are people who are being 80% of their salary is being paid by the UK government and 20% by their employer, but they are not allowed to do any work for their employer. They can, however, volunteer and do other charitable work. So potentially there's a lot of skilled people, PMO people, project managers, and others who might have time that they could devote to this. And I think using the kind of social platform to kind of identify them to start off with, and then to enable them to organize into some kind of function. And I don't have any easy answers because it's not something I've ever done before.
Well, the reason why I'm kind of intrigued is because, and I know that I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, but is it Joka from Turkey? Is that you? I know you're in this group, but
Philips is better.
Philips?
No.
It's better for everyone.
Goethe. Okay. But I remember in the couple meetings ago when you were talking about the like the incubator, the fund that was your company was leading, and it just strikes me that one of the ideas could be like maybe this is funded through government funds or something, but having a bit of an incubator, which you may be calling it a PMO, but maybe what the idea really is that you're trying to figure out how to connect people that have needs with resources, and whether they're the earlier conversation about apartments and logistics around being able to make resources available to medical personnel and so forth. It seems like there are dozens and dozens of problems, some that are visible, some that are emerging, some that are just pop up, but there needs to be some way to connect people either at a local level or even at a bigger level with the kinds of concerns that are happening and connect them with resources. And maybe with the different countries, there are maybe people who have been displaced by these by COVID and they're not working, and maybe there are ways to provide these micro grants like what you were doing for the at a company level, funding good ideas that would allow could put people back to work, helping and providing them with some resources to actually attack these problems rather than it being
an idea that maybe if we work further, we will answer ourselves.
Yeah, so it's still a question, but it's really important a question. Anka, yes, thank you. Anka, we missed you. Have you had a chance to listen what we said?
I did in between dropping in and out of the Zoom session. I'm having problems with my Zoom, but I do agree with what you talked about defining the priority, you know, which sector to prioritize, what to prioritize. And definitely I agree that we need to think of the world after the COVID, because it's going to be a completely different world, and we need to be helping and coaching that world.
Guys, before we're saying that it would be very different, how different it will be?
I don't know if we know all of that yet.
So it's a speculation which came from media. Yes, it will be different, but not totally different. I still would love my wife. I still would love my son, right? I still would be hiding from my wife that I'm giving candies to my son. Nothing would change.
Yes, but there will be so many businesses which won't be here after that. You know, there will be so many other people which will be impacting in so many other ways. So not necessarily in the family. Family might be, you know, what you talked about might be the same, but other effects. There will be other effects. There will be different training, different coaching, different in travel, different everywhere. So there will be differences.
Guys, a question to all of you who got experience of coaching.
You can, I'm sorry, you can connect or you can leave. And last time I did this, I hit leave and then it brought me back.
Oh yeah, you're right. Leave breakout room.
I don't see that, but
if you go bottom
stop
right.
sharing your screen first.
Ah.
But Diana, thank you for the explanation. It helped a lot.
Okay, well, thank you, Sandra. Nice to meet you, by the way. And Sue.
Yeah, same
nice
to you
to
guys.
meet you. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Guys, ciao.
Small enterprises are not as responsive because they have less responsibility. Now they have more panic rather than responsibility. Yes, they're losing. They're losing in a big way. But they what they want, they're small, and one of their properties is a limited capacity for learning and applying their knowledge.
That will be providing some support to businesses on how to drive analytics as part of their foundation now, as we move into the new vision of what will no longer be the world that we knew as. I think that
there's an action defined. In fact, it's the first action dealing with the analysis of the context and the definition of the new normal. So that's the first action. I think it's something we will discuss which actions are launched or not, but in this case, it seems that this action is quite possible that this launched because it's the most voted for, both in importance and priority.
Cool. Thank you.
In any case, if something is missing, please let me know. You have the mail, which is the mail of the group, but also you can find me through my mail and the LinkedIn. So I'm happy to answer any question. I mean, if you want call or whatever, I'm available. So no problem. Any other action that you might find interesting to include? any suggestion for the organization of the working groups within this group?
Can I just, I don't know if Antonio is listening to us, is he? Or is he there, or is he not there? Can we summarize that this is one of the domains in which we will be working, which is the new business model, and that so far we identify 4 initiatives that we will be working on? Am I right? Or
we haven't identified. We just said, I mean,
we have 4 which are priority.
Point, we need to find those filters and establish them. But at first, I need to understand, or we all of us need to understand how we're targeting, what we're targeting, and then we're saying, okay, to get this, we would use such and such question to filter this. It's like in any interviews or research. When you do research, for instance, when I do research for my book.
And so, because I know we had some challenges where people were so excited to go off and do that, but then found out what they had actually made was not usable. And so we don't want people to be spending a lot of time on things that don't actually end up adding value. And where project management can really help is maybe taking a step back and saying, what's the bigger problem? And how do we line all of this stuff so that it actually delivers value as effectively as possible? And so that might be a place where we can contribute, where people have an incredible amount of energy, but making sure that actual energy gets directed towards something that's fulfilling and really does add value and hit the mark. I don't know if the other people are facing that, but we saw that happening here.
Yeah.
So there's all this energy to help, but I'd like to make sure that it's actually really productive. And we're really good at stuff like that. We're good at supply chain. We're good at looking at the, you have to line everything up in order to achieve an objective, and you don't have to call it project management because that might scare somebody, right? But it's really orchestrating that in a way that actually is very effective. And I think that could be a skill that we could offer. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
That's a great point, because almost like some term as rapid response team or something, because every time people hear, not every time, but there are times when people offer project management and people like, we don't have time for that. We're in a crisis. We can handle things quickly. So project management can
is our priorities. First, letting them know what's there, letting them know what is happening, and what will come afterwards, and helping them rethink their business models. And finally, as we consider it key, reinforcing the digital capabilities, which can be overlapping the previous one, but in this case, we thought it is really relevant.
This session is going to finish.
Yeah, we have 15 seconds to say the last thing. So, Ricardo, please.
Last question is, I think maybe some of the initiatives depend on others, because some are like pilots. So maybe for doing the pilot, you need to complete before some of the others points. And some of the points, it looks like they need quite a lot of research. So which one is the time frame you are thinking about for delivering the value in the group?
We should do some especially quick wins at the beginning to gain speed, and then we can think on defining some more short term and more medium term. But we should do things that have an impact in the first moments. I think we are.
Oh, here they come.
Oh, that's weird.
We're back.
Antonio, if you're here, there was somebody who was trying to access the group from outside. They needed you to allow them in. It was Raquel. I hope she's in, because she asked me that a while back, but we were in our session, and I didn't know how to get out to let you know.
Antonio, you're on mute. We cannot hear you.
Sorry. How was the experience? I think it's not easy what I see. It's not really smooth yet, the working in breakouts, but I hope that you saw a bit of more interaction than when we're 60 in the room or 50. Quick, each group can just share 1 minute how it was, and let's start with Diana.
Okay. Well, we made our slideshow presentation. First, I just want to thank the members on my team. I'm really proud of what we've been able to do in such a short while. Some really great ideas came forward, and then so we put a slide deck together and shared it with the group today. I also provided our LinkedIn, our Slack link here in the chat for anybody that would like to see what we're doing, what we've come up with thus far, add anything to it, expand it, or take us in a different direction. And while I have the mic, I just want to mention the two of the things that a couple of the things that were really strong seem to have a lot of interest at this point. One is Graham brought forward and he's not here today, he said he wouldn't be. He brought forward a Forbes article that has all of the manufacturers that are retooling for test kits and for ventilators, and it's an exhaustive list. So that accompanied with a document of some Google people who put together community-based drive-through testing and put together an extensive guide, really cataloged really well, a zip file that's in our library on Slack that tells you how to do it. And they did this pretty much the lessons learned from setting up 4 drive-through testing units in California. I personally, those are my 2 favorite, and mostly because I believe that those would have an immediate impact and could help to save lives. I also liked the lessons learned for the crisis because you have some communities that are in containment that can really learn from the efforts of the communities that have already gone through mitigation. We also had a lot of interest in people who are wanting to do something for the most vulnerable groups, and those would be identified as the mental health people, battered women, and I added African Americans because we just learned that African Americans are dying at a much faster rate. I gave the group an example in the breakout that in Chicago, while they're only 30% of the population, there's 70% of the people who are dying. And that's true in Louisiana, and it's becoming more evident at least in the United States. And so now that makes them, in my opinion, classified as a vulnerable group. Marcello was very instrumental in bringing forward and helping us to identify who we are and what we should be to the group as a whole. And so I'm going to work with him a little bit more on that to kind of help us identify with clarity about what we really mean to the group overall. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Let's go to the coaching group with Oleg, and 1 minute.
Okay, we focused our discussion on what our focus on, what kind of help we could offer people, what kind of filters we should set up in terms of defining the population to whom we want to help, small companies, medium companies, or both, whatever. So we need to define filters and definitions and how we would access them. And so what would be our capacity to make a positive difference? We found that so far we agreed that everything should be focused not on today, but on the future, because we are helping people to get prepared for that future. we don't have all answers. We're still thinking about it. It's not an easy, and we don't want to rush. I will publish a post in the LinkedIn group, and I ask everyone to contribute with their ideas, making it like a line, and then we'll take it from there.
Very good, Oleg.
But I'm glad to be among those brilliant people. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you. Go to Fernando. 1 minute.
Hi. So our group is project management, and we have people from since Alaska up to Turkey. So it's a long, wide group. So we have some ideas. I share one potential project I have on my mind, and even I started in a little bit. So we try to find projects as a local in the local cities, local societies, in order to avoid one a mundial project management, because now we think that the idea is better for us to be in a micro projects in the local societies with the local helps, is where our project management skills can be developed as better as possible, I think.
Thank you, Fernando. I joined a bit of your discussion, and it's one of the broadest topics. That's where we all have expertise on project management. So there were very interesting views from Jonathan, from Luan, from Jennifer, on really whether we go more for a sort of PMO structure that we can help different projects in cities or countries. So I think that group needs to be focusing clearly on where we can add value, because it's very, very broad. But I really like the discussion and how things were narrowing down to a kind of a bit more scoped area. Still needs to be a bit of fine tuning, but I think, yeah, that's part of our core business. So we need to be very specific on the added value we can bring and the impact. And should not be just micro, but I think we have the network to make it somehow in between. So thank you, Fernando. And we have one more.
As I have shared with you more or less the content of our meeting before, I would prefer to share with you the comments of the members that were quite interactive in the group. So first, as we said, as a group, our problem is, or the problem we want to solve is how to help small businesses thrive and deal with this. In this respect, Thibaut commented about the heterogeneity of the small businesses and the lack of influence in terms of political. They don't have lobbies. That was he said. So, okay, now. This is an issue. Antonio has silenced me. It was a bit boring. So, so that was one thing. Greg also made a great comment, was say, well, do not, and I think this is applicable to other groups, do not reinvent the wheel. Please check whatever is done before and use it. We are not going to do things that are already done. There are a lot of resources out there that are useful. So that's something to share with the rest of the groups. Something that Yolanda also commented. Then Rosina and Elena commented about the impact of the environment and the weight environmental aspects, societal aspects will have in the new normal. So also to take that into account. And finally, Teresa talked about the overlapping among groups. We should be coordinated in order not to overlap the efforts. Finally, we did some logistic issues with Ricardo and Thibaut about how to develop the group and how to develop the projects and which specific issues to deal with. But it was a quite interactive session. We vote the actions that were preferred, and we will share the poll with you, so we get the comparison between the group and the greater group. So please, I will share now in the chat. Is 2 minutes the response. I ask you please to fulfill it, and it was a really, really useful chat. So thanks to the group.
Thank you. If you still have about 5 minutes, we can do a quick, also a few other people just to hear their views. The big challenge with this group is that all of you have great ideas. It's these webinars help when someone is just talking and everybody listening, or you're having classes. But here, how can we make the best of all of your input and engage? So that's the big dilemma that, well, I think we're exploring with this approach, and I'm sure there will be other ways, but how can we get your input, your help, your views on the moment as well? So any thoughts on how we can make this even more interactive, please let me know or just share with the group, and we'll try it next time. I think overall, if we look at what we've achieved in 2 weeks, we had already 5 meetings. We have 8 working groups you've already gathered. We really don't know exactly where we're going, but we have a sense that we can contribute. We are expanding the network. We're bringing good people also to give us some ideas. So I think we can be happy so far, but yes, it needs to become more concrete at one point in a week or 2 that we can say, well, these are the 5 things we're doing, and then maybe reshuffle a bit the groups. But so far, yeah, I think we're trying to do our best. Quickly, just asking a few people in a minute what you thought about the session, Marcello.
So I think it was actually good to align. So as always, there's this phase in which ideas come out, and yes, they're a bit random in the sense that this is just the idea generation. But then we were able in our team to come also to understand what can we actually do. There's the concept of interdependency between the working groups. So maybe the creative collision is one that supports other working groups. So I think we should think in those terms. Yeah. But yes, it will take a few iterations before we get to something more concrete.
Thank you, Jennifer. You have lots of experience with this thing.
All right. I love all the ideas and the discussions, and I think so much great is going to come out of it. I'm very visual, so I'm just working on I worked on a ton of really large initiatives like you guys, and what helps me is visualization. So I'm wondering, one thing I'd like to contribute to the group is if we get to a point, maybe if it adds value to other people, is maybe providing some resource to visualize how we're growing, how we're connecting together to help others who we may try to engage. Because I have a community of 50,000 people, maybe not on my team, but all of your initiatives. And I think it would help to visualize how they could contribute. That's one of my thoughts.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yes, Jennifer, and you are the expert on that. And so if you can help us simply to put that into 1 or 2 drawings, or that will align us much more.
Yeah.
Thank you. What else? Golche.
Hi, Antonio. Hi, everybody. Apart from today's meeting, we've had some updates actually on what was happening on our side. Yolanda Rubio from this team and myself, we've been working on a specific idea. Some of you might remember from the previous meetings, Yolanda introduced a mobile app that her team was working on. So we discussed about that particular mobile app further, and on our side, we prepared an application for government funding. We sent the application last week, and it's moving too quickly. We've already spoken to 2 judges that the funding body assigned to the project. We don't know the final answer yet, so it might be rejected, might be accept. If it is accept, then we will have some funding for that particular project. We will see. We'll see.
Great.
Right.
Great news. I'm very happy for that. Thank you, Golche. Thank you, Yolanda. Jose Antonio Perez. Quickly. Yes.
I can think in this moment we need the focus. It's different targets. I am speaking of Fernando, and then the next meeting is very important. One-to-one only focus, because it's very difficult advancing in the project. It's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose Antonio. Who else is there? Elena.
Elena Molina?
Sí.
We are two Elena, so I belong a creative collection group leading by Diana. I have been learning about the group, the mission, challenge, and so glad to be part of that. And I'm still wondering where it can be more useful for this fantastic group. So happy to be here.
Thank you, Elena. I wanted to ask Lori as well. You're in Australia.
Yeah, thanks, Antonio. For me, I've just really enjoyed each group. Kind of starts off with all this divergent thinking, lots of different ideas, and then most of the coordinators are then pulling them in and converging on focused topics. So I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm still learning where I can contribute most, but I'm getting it just hearing everybody else. So it's been very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else wants to talk? Arantxa, you want to say something?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. No, I would say we still need to brainstorm just a little bit more, but outside, I would say if we spend a little bit, some more time outside, as we have been talking today, to have the opportunity to brainstorm in small groups, to have the focus on the fixed ideas for the objectives, vision, the what, the to whom, and how. I would say in the next sessions, if we could share this in advance, maybe we could, or even put the questions on the contributions that each one could do to the other groups as well. But because if not, in 1 hour is quite hard to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. And the working groups, some of them are having meetings, some others there's, I think, collecting more the thoughts. But yeah, hopefully each working group can have 1 or 2 meetings to get that what you're saying and then share it in advance. I think we're starting to get some traction, but some groups
I think
have
we will reach it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else wants to share something? Good. So, Fernando, quickly.
Yeah, we will beat this virus.
We'll see each other next Wednesday. It will be in the evening. We'll have Rita McGrath, which is amazing. But yeah, feel free to continue the discussions with the teams. I think don't lose what you got today. I have no clue if Zoom records the breakout rooms session, so I will see that when I close this. Yeah, let's keep connected. We'll try to move into teams for the whole group and the organization and the sharing, like Arantxa was saying, of some of the material in advance. But thank you so much. It's such a great session. I love it. I think it's frustrating that not everybody can talk, but it's very enriching. Thank you very much. Keep safe.
Thank you, everybody.
To you, Antonio.
Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.